was feeling a bit like a loser for a while. It starts sounding unfun. It's not like a lot of jobs where you could fake it, you know. You can't really fake that you like your job in music if you don't. I was in a cycle I couldn't get out of. I wasn't creative. So it took so long for me to realize I needed to change something in my life, which was leaving Warner Brothers and stopping making this record that was so annoying to make. I've been working on this record called The Storms We Share for a while, and that was the album the fans were kind of looking forward to me putting out. I didn't want to wait so long to put out a record and then put out something that wasn't what I thought was amazing, because I'll put out a record and fans may listen to it or remember it forever, I don't know, but I will remember all my records forever. They will be the only records I will ever put out, you know? And so it's just important to me to put out something that I really like, you know? And so I just scrapped it and left it at Warner Brothers when I left Warner Brothers. That's why I called this record Forget the Storm. It's also about leaving behind that whole era of my life at Warner Brothers, that record, and just that kind of way of doing things, you know? It's so hard to market yourself, and I've gotten good at, you know, seeing things that way over the years just by nature of being in the business, but I really kind of hate it. And like my first record and my second record too, they like want to market me as this or market me as this, a really like either cute boy or a pretty this, and it's like, well, that's super cool, and I'm stoked that someone would even think that I have looks worth marketing, you know. But it does. But as soon as you start putting label tags on it, it puts it in a box, and I almost would rather not know or something, you know, because then I start seeing myself in that way. I'd always been in theater in high school and stuff. They had asked me, do you want to do movies and stuff? And I was like, no, because I don't want to be, again, this is the marketing thing I don't want to be this actor, musician guy. Like, it's just dumb, you know? And then of course, here I am. But then at some point I just stopped thinking about that and just going, okay, what do I want to do? You know, whatever people think this or whatever, opinions only last also, they have a shelf life, you know? And then, so I had to get over that, my own stigma with that, you know, so that I could do some of the things that I want to do. And Walk the Line was something I just tried out to be an extra in, and they thought I looked like Elvis, and they, you know, asked me if I wanted to read lines, and I really had to make a decision like, okay, I want to play this guy who I've been obsessed with, probably my favorite musician of all time, but I'm going to be in a movie, and that's automatically going to make me from Walk the Line, Tyler Hilton, or from One Tree Hill, Tyler Hilton, and all of a sudden you're like, who's this guy? Oh, he's the guy from the TV show. And you're like, that's my log line for music now, you know? And it's so weird, and that becomes the marketing thing. So it's like, it gets iffy, but some of the best times of my life were filming One Tree Hill. And I loved doing it, you know? No matter like what the stigma is or what people think of that show, I loved doing it. And I got to play my music to a ton of people. But more importantly, it was just this really fun experience that I would never go back and not do, you know? So, I don't know, it's weird. So I've had to keep that kind of marketing thing at bay so I can keep doing what I want. Even if I don't make sense to myself in marketing terms, I'll just keep doing what I want, you know? I look at a girl, no, you don't know anything, walking through my door. It's funny because a lot of the songs I've written to play live. I was actually thinking about for my next record, or at some point making a record where I'm only thinking about it in terms of a record and not thinking about it as a live song at all, which I've never done. There's so many different kinds of records I would like, or different kinds of approaches I would like to take to records at some point, and I want them all to be different just to see what happens. But this one, I definitely approached it as how I want to the kind of songs I want to play with my band live. I wrote it kind of with my band, and we rehearsed it as a band before we recorded it. Sometimes I'll write with somebody who's really good at something that I'm not good at. It's a weird environment though, because there's not a lot of patience built into co-writing. You've got 2 people or 3 people's schedules. You've got an afternoon or 2 afternoons, and you're trying to write a song. It's very like, but the cool thing about that is sometimes with artists, you know, we can hang ourselves with the slack would give us, and having kind of a timetable and having a work schedule and having to kind of can hold you to, having to hold yourself to the fire creatively in front of somebody else, you can really write some of your best stuff, you know? You gotta bring your A game because someone else is there. So it can be great. I've also written a lot of crappy songs with people, but I've also written some of the best songs I've ever written with someone, you know? I started putting together this record. My only criteria was, what are songs that I want to sing? And what are songs that are like embarrassingly honest? And I was like, well, any song pretty much that Warner wouldn't have wanted me to put on the record, because either it was against my image or it didn't sound like Katy Perry, I guess, then, you know, I felt like, well, that's what this record's for, you know. All the Castaways.